Yeah, hello. Thank you for joining. I think the initial session now should a little bit concentrate on the distribution, the grid part itself. I think smart grid is the overall scenario. And I think let's have also a look into the grid part itself. Locamation is a company from the Netherlands, founded in the 80s, coming from industrial automation, and has made his lessons learned in the late 90s in the electricity space. And we have now developed a solution which covers from high to low voltage smart substation automation. And you will see while we walk through the slides, you see a mix of show what we do and also how we think it is interacting with our customers and what the feedback from the customers is. So when you think about this as a smart grid challenge, I think there's thousands of materials and presentations. What I would like to ask you is at the moment just concentrate on the grid company itself. No retail, no meter at the household. Of course the customers are using the grid. They pay in a grid tariff and net tariff, everything discussed, negotiated with the regulator. So think of a grid company, what they have to think of when they look at the smart grid. And I think it's quite obvious if you look from their perspective and they were asked by the regulator to have it cost efficient, they just say, why do I invest something in it? So keep it cost efficient, don't invest. Does it help the other side? Does it help the retail side? No. So you will see that it is heavily has heavily usage of additional load in there, and you have also seen that you do not have enough resources maybe to make this grid then future proven. So the lack of the human resource in the grid company is also an issue. There's a reason why we maybe have so many pilots, because the head of distribution have to think of how to manage his operation, how to manage his asset management team, how much can I go into future scenarios, how much resources do I have available to look at these new things. So if you are facing those challenges, I think from a grid company perspective, there are different answers needed, and you cannot just answer everything with a smart meter. So the needs, if you look there, you have typically those traditional needs here. This is a minimum of functionality which is required in the substation, primary substation. Some of them as well in the low voltage substation. And if you now look into the new needs, I would say, which grid companies are facing, you see a lot of them. Not all of them are maybe some buzzwords. So we don't talk about demand response here, or we have not all the topics which are smart meter related. But I think these are core elements which are needed in the from a DNO or future DSO perspective. So as soon as the DSO has its rights and his authorization from the regulator to control, for example, down into potentially in-feed level, then yeah, does he have all the abilities? Does his system have all the abilities to do so? Are all the substations equipped? Is he equipped for resilient grids, for microgrids, whatever? So these are new things, and this is then also the question, when you have identified this, if you put this into your roadmap, can you measure that? Can you measure if you are on track? Can you measure if you're successful in that? I was the last presentation from the session before was quite good because it was showing that a distribution company has two roadmaps. One for the smart meter rollout, where you could use some of the meter functionality for outage management reasons, for example. But also there's a separate roadmap just from a grid company perspective. How do I enable my grid itself? How do I make it intelligent? And I think you want to measure if you're successful. This is millions of investment in that one. And I think regulators have already displayed that if you would do this a traditional way, the investment would be multi-million. And I think this is not something which we as a consumer want to afford by paying our net tariffs. So there must be a smarter way to look at this. So I think how to reach the goal is innovation, quite often used word. What does innovation mean? I think this is really something where you have to be different. You cannot just do it the same way like the smart meter started. You know, at the beginning, the automated meter was kind of, do I use the industrial meter? Same functionality, can I put it in every household? I think this was the first approach, and there's a reason why in the US it's called AMR still, and not smart meter, because the technology is mainly the industrial meter coming from. So I think we have to think out of the box, and this means it must be very easy to install. Just think the field service workers in the field, they are also just like you and me. It should not be too complex. They also can just do one thing at a time. And if you want to equip those substations in a way, then you have to make it easy to them as well. And you know, this is limited. There's a big focus on those teams to work efficient. So you cannot just double the team size, for example. There's also a need to say, okay, how can I then make the solution? And I think the only answer is that you have to transfer functionality into software. Only software gives you the ability to easily change, to make upgrades, to correct something, for example, to adapt to future needs. You cannot just always walk to the substation and change everything. At the moment, the traditional way is you have boxes, closed boxes, for every function one box. So just imagine if for a smart grid scenario you want to have new functionality, you cannot just change everything in a substation. You have easily 400 to 600 primary substations, for example. In the low voltage grid, I think Enel has 200,000. So even if you just do 10% of them, you cannot just, you know, every year change everything you want. So you need more flexibility. You need to do it remotely. So I think software is the answer for that. And in order to be able to not touch very often the substation itself, you need the sensor level. You need all the data coming out. This is the sensor part. Put something in which is there for a long time. Just think of how long is the equipment at the moment. How often does a DNO go to the substation, even the low voltage part? Let's say they are maybe 30 years old, 40 years old. How often do they open it? They open it when it's broken. So that's something which you have to consider when you do the equipment. And this is a very important part as well. So you have this distraction from the equipment itself, sensor long-lasting, and software highly flexible. And the question is, how can you use it? I think just look at other sectors. Just look where they have done it before. You see, there are examples how you can combine proven technology, put it together, and then you have a smart substation. It's very easy. It's simple. So we go the way to unbundle it a little bit. You know, you see, you have software, you have equipment, you have the sensors. So if you go this way, I think you have a very flexible approach, and this is the difference. This is the difference to all the big box providers. This is the difference to other companies doing it step by step. What are you doing if you have equipped everything with sensors? Are you able to control them? Are you able to take action on what you have seen? I think this takes another cycle again. Would you like to do that? I think it's important to think from the beginning, what is my challenge? What do I want to do in the future? Can I do this now and enable myself? This is really smart grid enabling, and it is not the meter where it starts with. It's the substation where all the information comes together to manage the grid. So I think the open platform we provide here is something you can easily use, highly built by modules, select what you need. Just imagine you have your own algorithms for protection. Just think of your own functionality of control. How does it work when you try to equip this in the traditional way? Long-lasting cycles, long-lasting discussions with providers, long-lasting discussions internally, a lot of coordination needed. One reason why it takes so long to get into a new scenario. So why is the roadmap not working in the next 5 to 6, 10 years, for example, to equip all substations? Because it takes that long. Because it is a lot of internal coordination, external coordination. So I think you have to think of equip and provide a solution which enables you to be very flexible in direction on the needs. So that's the model we provide. Long life process interfaces here at the bottom. I would say computers. Computers per substation in a redundant way, where you can install quite flexible all the functionality you need. You can remotely upgrade. You have a communication unit to your control center. We enable also decentralized SCADA scenarios. So there's something which is also available. We talk about highly secure channels, encrypted functionality. So that's everything kind of secure. What we propose is that if you look into those scenarios, you think of a transformation. And that's the reason why I also called this slide, this slot here, smart grid scenarios. Smart grid scenario means you have to consider in which time, in which way you want to transform your organization. Digitizing is the keyword. It's not very much liked sometimes, so in our conversations we hear that they see challenges on it. So if you look at these areas and you talk to customers, you very often have this feedback. You know, that's a new approach. Where have you done it? You know, when we talk to protection engineers, a lot of questions. These are examples we have in a daily talk with customers. So how do you want to move forward in your roadmap for a smart grid? Internally, I think you have already identified these topics. We hear from innovation departments of grid companies, large grid companies. They all kind of saying, yes, that's the right way, but we are struggling internally as well to bring innovation into our organization. So I think we shouldn't stop here. Try to move forward like others have done. Look into examples where distribution companies have taken the challenge. Look at Alliander. I think there's a very good example here with the Experience Center. You can see here at the conference. You can see that Alliander is already not in a pilot phase only. They really started the rollout, which helps them to look at, and I think just remember what I said in the beginning, look at how many substations you have to equip. Maybe small DNOs where they have, I think in the morning we saw a former Vattenfall in Finland, they have 19 primary substations. Okay, you can do this in 2 years. But just think of all the larger DNOs which are here in Europe. I think it can take up to 10 years, 15 years, 20 years if you do it the traditional way. Think of how you can do it better. And the example with Alliander is that we can do it in 1 month per refurbishment. That's a huge improvement. Gives you some stability in the planning. Because just imagine when the rollout takes 12, 20 years, 25 years, maybe you say it's out of lifetime again, whatever you have installed. So just think to reduce this. We have already a lot of contracts. We are quite successful in the UK. Of course, there's some funding money there, so it's always easy then to go for innovations if there's some funding. But the proof case is as well that we are much cheaper compared to the traditional way. The business case we can provide is to come over with 3 times less cost in installing. I think the ability to use less resources for installation, for example, the ability to have the reduction of the HR involvement itself. So you need a lot of service persons, you need people from IT, you need people from the asset management, you have a lot of people involved in it, and our experience is that if you are able to condense this, then you're much more efficient in that way than you would do it traditionally. Last very important thing is, and then I'm coming to the last slide, is we are providing an open platform concept. What does it mean? Just think of the challenges you have. Just think of the first slide. What are the challenges? The point is, are you able to do it alone? Are you able to do everything at the same time? I think important is that when you look into the future, you would like to take over existing functionality. You would like to continue in the same way for your standard functionality. DNOs, traditionally more conservative thinking. So you don't want to change the primary process of energy supply, of power supply. So you don't want to change that. On the same time, making changes needs then that you need to mix existing plus future. And I think therefore, if you would go for traditional developments of equipment and software in that way, you would maybe struggle. So the point is, if you have an open platform where you can bring together existing and future, own and new things, own and third party as well, I think this will help you to be more efficient and also be very quick in installing your new smart grid roadmap. So think of this, doing it together, thinking of the timing. The timing is very relevant. I just mentioned those 15 years potentially. So please start today. Otherwise, can happen that you miss the train or the boat. Work together in a way that you can help each other. I think the DNO market is not a highly competitive market. So start to share. And also use those open platforms, use the examples from other industries in the OT world, and I think that's a good final closing remark, that working together between IT and OT is of importance, I think, for the success we want to have overall in the smart grid market. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexander. Any questions from the floor? I think we can take a short one, if there's any. Seems everything was very clear, so thank you very much again.